about absolute, abject destruction, total annihilation, obliteration, and disasters. And I'm going to go live now on Instagram. Hey guys, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm Aristotle Full Throttle, your bro in the know at the fro, and today we're talking about disaster movies, total destruction, annihilation, obliteration, and the difference between those two words, which you might find surprising. Annihilation and decimation. Decimation is literally, it just means you've reduced something by 1/10. You've decimated it, you've turned it into 1/10. Hey, what's up, Flick or Treat Productions? Nice to see you. Nice, I'm going to wave at you. You might notice that the camera's shaking. That's okay. We're in California. There's earthquakes almost on the daily. No, I should probably take my hands off the desk, drink more coffee. Guys, disaster movies. What's your favorite disaster movie? I saw a movie called Dante's Peak when it was the 90s. I also saw a movie very similar to it called Volcano. It did not even try to mask the idea that it was a movie about an exploding volcano. It was called Volcano. In the 90s, you see, we had disaster movies that all came out at the same time. Except Twister was like probably the mother of all of them. Yeah, Dante's Peak and Volcano came out at the same time, right? And Dante's Peak, I don't know, it takes place, I think it's like in LA. Flicker Treat on Instagram is asking if Dante's Peak is good. And you know what? I couldn't tell you. I haven't watched it since the 90s. It's got Linda Hamilton in it and one of the James Bonds. Remember when Pierce Brosnan... In Dante's Peak, they have the La Brea tar pits also, which is interesting because they're not that impressive. If you've been to the La Brea tar pits, you just go, oh, look, a dirty pond. Those are some ancient... Look at those ancient Gatorade bottles bubbling up to the top. Back thousands of billions of years ago when they drank Gatorade in glass bottles. I don't know. Everything used to be glass bottles. What's up, Jimmy James Cordova? Coming at you with disaster movies. What's your favorite disaster movie? There was a movie in the 70s called The Towering Inferno, starring Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen was one of the coolest. He was like the cool guy back in the day. Steve McQueen. He used to drive a car in this movie called Bullet. It was a really nice Bullet car, and he drove it, and it's like one of the most famous chase scenes ever. He's jumping, he's driving through the streets, driving all around, and there's all these really cool shots of the car jumping these corners and stuff. And if you count the number of hubcaps that fly off this car, 5 hubcaps. Here's a little bit of a film flub for film historians who are sticklers for this kind of thing. You could actually watch, as you're watching this car chase, hubcaps flying off this car, and if you count them up, 5 hubcaps. So at some point, this car had 5 tires. Everybody always asks this question: how many wheels does a car have? 5. Including the steering wheel. That's a really good one. That's a really good joke. Dante's Peak, it was okay, I think. I think my father still watches that one. He loves volcanoes. He's obsessed with volcanoes. Will watch anything about a volcano. I don't know why. I don't know, like Lord of the Rings has a volcano in it. It's kind of a disaster movie. You know, I'd say, yeah, well, in the 90s when they had the concurrent disaster movies happening, they had a movie called Armageddon, which is very famous by Michael Bay, by our own Christian Michael Bay. I don't know why I said that. But Michael Bay directed that movie, and there's a very funny quote from that movie, actually, from Ben Affleck, who's in that movie with Liv Tyler. And the premise of the movie, the premise of the movie Armageddon is that they have to get all these drill miners, these ore miners, to drill into an asteroid that is rapidly approaching Earth, and then plant some bombs in there and destroy it or explode it so that it moves off course and does not collide with Earth and cause a mass extinction. A mass extinction like the ones that killed off the dinosaurs, if you remember. If you can remember 65 million years ago. It's kind of a sad thought, though. There's going to be another mass extinction, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said it. You heard it here. It's going to happen eventually. We're going to have to deal with it. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the mass extinction we're talking about. A slow cough, a dry cough, until everybody dies. All right, we're going to bring it up. We're going to kick it back up a notch, guys. How was your weekend? How's your quarantine going? I'd like to know about you before I continue with my diatribe about Armageddon being a Michael Bay movie that I found entertaining in the 90s, and I enjoyed it, actually. I thought I was watching something that was good. Little did I know, it's not good. Armageddon is... Actually, I had many issues with Armageddon. I think my biggest issue a lot of the time with disaster movies is their inability to get it correct, to get things right, to get things Armageddon, which is pretty hilarious because you hear him talking about, you know, he just did what? Good Will Hunting. He's like, I'm going to be a big star someday. I want to work in movies. Ben Affleck and Steve McQueen. Ben Affleck has really improved. He's improved. He's always been good. That's the thing. I think people didn't take Ben Affleck seriously for a while. Maybe it was the J-Lo era, but it could have been any other point that people thought Ben Affleck wasn't good. But we got to remember, he did Good Will Hunting. He co-wrote that. He won an Oscar. He co-won an Oscar for co-writing Good Will Hunting. Now that's nothing to shake a stick at or explode an asteroid over. So you got to sit there and go, okay, Ben Affleck is actually a pretty serious filmmaker. If you watched The Town, that's a good movie. If you watched the Ben Affleck movie Gone Girl, I think it's not Gone Girl, that he's in that movie, which is a good movie, but Gone Baby Gone, that's a good movie. Guys, Ben Affleck he's a good director. He's a good writer. He's a good director. He's a good filmmaker. I think people were like, but you did Pearl Harbor, though. It's not a good one. So Ben Affleck is on the commentary track for Armageddon. So it's a gem. You can just YouTube it, or you could go out and buy Armageddon at Walmart if you want, and listen to the commentary track. It is pretty hilarious because he's like, I was talking to Michael Bay, and I was like, hey, Michael Bay, don't you think it would be easier to just train highly technical and well-educated astronauts to learn how to drill a hole in the ground instead of trying to take these miners and these oil drillers and train them to become astronauts? Don't you think that that's like maybe a better plan? And Michael Bay just said, shut up and just read your lines. Because Michael Bay cares about story. He's like, listen, we've got $200 million to spend. Stop asking questions. Tatiana, hello. Welcome. We were just talking about Michael Bay and Armageddon. Canimation. Thank you for joining us on YouTube, AristotleFullThrottle.com. If you go to AristotleFullThrottle.com, I've made it easy. It redirects you to Aristotle Full Throttle, my YouTube channel, and then you could just subscribe. And if you subscribe, please like. And if you like, please comment. If you comment, you can win. You can win stuff. I'm going to give away a PS5 when the PS5 is available. But what happens is, whichever comes first, if I get to 10,000 subscribers before the PS5 comes out, I'll still give you a PS5. How about that? You get a PS5. 10,000 subscribers. We got to get there, guys. And I'm down 18 subscribers. So I'm doing the right thing. Doing good. I'm actually doing good. We're well on our way. We just have to slow the negative growth. We need to flatten this curve. Guys. AristotleFullThrottle.com. And if you're anything like Jimmy James Cordova, a stand-up American or citizen of the world, I don't know where I think he's from Texas. He is a supporter. He's a supporter of Aristotle Full Throttle on Patreon. And you can be too. Thank you so much. What's up, Malin? Thank you, Malin. I figured it out now. Your name makes sense. The movie is made for the minors. Yeah, that movie was made for minors. People under 18 who don't have any brain. Actually, that's not true. Kids have brains. They're just not useful. Awesome. Guys, thank you for showing up in my Instagram feed. Thank you. Will, we were waiting for you. We couldn't start the show without you, to be frank. Thank you for joining us. Malon's got some good insight also on movies. We chat about movies every now and then. It's been a while, though. It's been a minute. Malon is also in the film industry. Lives down the street from me, actually. But guys, getting back to Armageddon and how terrible it is. You've got Michael Bay, and that's a problem. I have a problem with Michael Bay. Here's my problem, I'll tell you. Michael Bay, okay, he did The Rock. And The Rock, right, listen, I feel like you can only get so many passes. You can only get so many passes if you make a good movie. You can't get like 20 years of the people going, but he made The Rock, bro. Because I'm like, listen, The Rock was like 25 years ago. We're over it. We're over The Rock. The Rock was fun. It was good. It was revolutionary. It was interesting. It actually, I don't know. There's some cool visuals in it. It was unlike anything we've ever seen before. It's like a 2-hour car commercial with just like the cameras moving this way and the cameras moving that way. And everybody's like, you know, people didn't know you could move a camera. They developed technologies to like swivel the camera. Like, hey, just loosen up the tripod head. Just loosen it up a little bit. And we're just going to get loosey-goosey with it. We're going to be Michael Bay. I'm going to be Michael Bay for the next 25 years. I'm going to do this forever. I'm going to sit on a turret and film my movies as if I'm in a war zone shooting things. That's fun for you, Michael Bay. When we have to sit there and watch it. I had 14 seizures watching Transformers. That was a disaster. I promised myself I would never watch a Michael Bay movie again. I remember sitting there going, listen, Michael Bay has let you down, bro, over and over again. Why would you give him your money? I said this to myself. And if anything, just for the nostalgia factor, the fact that I get to see a live action version of Optimus Prime standing 50 feet tall, saying, Autobots roll out, you know, like with his grumble. And then I was like, with his face covering Optimus Prime, he was avoiding coronavirus this whole time. I was like, listen, let's just go to this movie. I had to psych myself into it. Let's just go watch Transformers. You love Transformers, bro. Hasbro. And so I'm sitting there in the movie, and then I'm watching. It was like, since the beginning of time. And then I'm like, oh, that's Optimus Prime's voice. I got to chill. And then like 20 seconds into listening to what he was saying, I was like, you got me again. You got me again, Michael Bay. You got me here. And now you got me here for like 2 hours. You've got my $10. Now I have to sit here and watch your shitty movie. And I did. And it was not good. There's some redeeming factors in it. Like the parents. Like Shia LaBeouf's parents in Transformers. They were redeeming. Because they were given nothing other than being good actors. They were like, listen, we don't have a script for you. We're just going to like film a bunch of stuff. And you guys can come up with all of the things you're going to do and be funny. And they did. And they did a good job. Except that was the only thing I remember from that movie other than having 14 seizures. So Michael Bay can go to hell. Daredevil. Conimation likes Daredevil. I like Daredevil. Nothing wrong with Daredevil. It's not terrible. It's just not like good, you know? Yeah. Saw The Rock. Never saw The Rock. Will says he never saw The Rock. If you want to watch the only good Michael Bay movie, watch The Rock. And maybe, I don't know, I didn't see his last 10 movies. So I can't speak for that. But there's another director that I cannot stand. And I will tell you how much I can't stand him. Yeah. I tell you, Michael Bay wore me down. Got me in that theater. Michael Bay figured it out. He figured out how to get my money. He's like sneaks into your pocket, pulls it out. That's that Michael Bay style. 6 Underground was god awful, says Thytrine. I agree with you. That's on my Instagram live, Aristotle Full Throttle. I'm going to wave. I'm trying to wave, but I'm probably going to destroy my entire setup by touching things. I'm going to try not to touch things, including my face. Excluding my face. Including my face. I'm going to include not touching my face. Guys, throttlers, if you will. Armageddon. I'm still not done. Armageddon there. Armageddon it. Listen, that movie, I did not like a lot of things about that movie. One of the things I did not like, among the lot of things I did not like, is that when you go see a space shuttle launch, right? I don't know if you've ever went to see one, or if you've ever seen one on TV, but there is a thing that they do that is very important. They have it far away from everything. They have a space shuttle launch far, far away from any electronic device. So there's like 3 miles radius from the launch pad to any electronic device at all. Like not even a cell phone is allowed. So it's like far away. There's an iconic shot. And sure, okay, Michael Bay, it looks pretty cool, but there's an iconic shot of the 2 space shuttles launching in tandem, like next to each other in Armageddon. And I'm like, you guys are idiots because you would not launch them in the same spot at the same time. You would just not do it. Maybe you would do them on consecutive days, or maybe you do them in 2 different locations if time was of the essence. However, you would not do them next to each other because the mechanism for catastrophe is imminent. Talk about disaster movies. That was dumb. As soon as I saw that, I was like, that's what I did when I watched Armageddon. I tisked very firmly and loudly. There's some funny moments in Armageddon, but the funny moments, again, are the moments that are improvised by the actors. Oh, wow. You got Luke Wilson. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. And then you've got Michael Clark Green Mile Duncan in that movie. He's pretty cool. Michael Clark Green Mile Omarosa Duncan. Rest in peace. What a good actor that guy was. Big guy. Not a lot of room for giant people in Hollywood. Physically, I think. Physically, you have to be about 3 feet tall, and your head needs to be the size of a freaking watermelon. Like a big watermelon. Pompeii. Jimmy James Cordova brings up Pompeii. That's a disaster movie. I'm a guessing it's about a Pompeii. That's my Italian accent. Listen, you can make accents still. You could still make accents. If you can't make accents, where do we mine comedy from? I'm going to make an Italian accent. It's accurate. I've been to Italy. I speak a little bit of Italian. I'm part Italian. I'm 1/4 Italian. I'm allowed. 1/4. This section right here. So, to anybody who thinks I can't make a Italian accent. From New York, you're basically born Italian. Steve Buscemi and company are good in Armageddon. Listen, Armageddon does have its redeeming factors. I know that I get angry about it, but I think that was the last moment. I'll tell you this. I remember being in a film school years after Armageddon came out, and I was sitting next to somebody, and she was going on and on. And this is, I don't know, it's not the best film school, because she was going on and on about how her favorite movie of all time. Now, I'm in like an Alfred Hitchcock class. We're studying drama and suspense and Alfred Hitchcock movies, and she's going on and on. Listen, you go to film school to study the fundamentals of filmmaking and understanding what makes a good movie. a good movie. So if the movie's already good, we're like, we like this movie. You got to kind of deconstruct and figure out like what are the things, the elements that create a satisfying story and pictures. And this girl, this woman now, I imagine, sitting next to me in my class, would say how Armageddon was her favorite movie ever. I was like, I don't know. Listen, there's no accounting for bad taste either. Yeah, there's some 10 Cloverfield Lane. That was a pretty good one. That's kind of a disaster movie. Is it a disaster movie, though? It's kind of like a post apocalyptic, is this really happening? Psychological thriller. Is this guy just crazy or is this stuff really happening type of movie? 10 Cloverfield Lane, I enjoyed. I actually got to work with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and she's dope. She's cool. I worked with her on a movie called Faults. I was the set photographer. She was super nice, super professional. Her husband was at the time was directing it, and they were both really sweet, kind people. And I just was like, you know what? Movies are fun to make with people who want to make movies and who are good at making movies. And I enjoyed working with them. I also got to work with Lance Reddick. He was cool. And I got to work with John Grise, Uncle Rico. He's phenomenal. This guy's a phenomenal actor. He will take every little piece of whatever he's doing and he'll turn it into like something actually. He turns every scene that he's in, every time the camera's on him, he figures out how to maximize the creativity of acting in that scene. I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone out there, but I was watching this guy like I was taking notes. He was also Laszlo Holyfeld. Laszlo Holyfeld in Real Genius. If you've seen that movie, it's phenomenal. It's one of my favorite movies. He's also the Wolfman. Wolfman's got nards in Monster Squad. So this dude goes back a ways. I've actually worked with the cinematographer of the Monster Squad, Bradford May, my favorite director to work with. But I'm going on reminiscing about work because I'm home, not working. And a lot of you are too. We're all in this together. We're hunkering down. Listen, we're going to start to phase back into society. It's going to be okay. We just got to do it wisely. We've got a couple more weeks here in LA or California until May 15th, until they probably extend it to June 1st. But listen, we're going to do this. We're going to be smart about it. We're going to wear our face coverings. We're going to stay 6 feet away from people until there's a vaccine. We're going to do this until there's a vaccine, guys. Just got to do it. Just do it. Don't be like, I'm social distancing with my friends. They're all coming. We had a social distance party at my... Stop it. Stop it. It lingers in the air. It comes out of your mouth. There's no social distance like let's all sit around the table. You've completely defeated the concept of social distancing. It's physical distancing, if we can just get it straight. Guys, just be smart. Don't kid yourself. Stay 6 feet away. The funny thing is, I look right outside my window and I'm watching like hundreds of people walk by every day. Maybe not hundreds. Dozens of people walking by during the day. And then they'll wear their face covering. And then they'll be like, oh, hi, how's it going? And then they'll pull the mask down. And then, like, that's the vital moment in which you need to cover your face. I'm very passionate about this because I care about you. And I want you to care about each other. And the only way out of this is if we care about each other and actually look after each other. Not ourselves. Don't be like the guy that's like, I'll be fine. First of all, you don't know you're going to be fine. Second of all, if that's your attitude, I don't care about you either. I care about the people around you. Because they might not be fine. And people are like, well, if you're vulnerable, you should stay inside. I get that line of thinking. However, if you're vulnerable and you're inside, and there are people out there that are being reckless, acquiring and spreading coronavirus, the vulnerable and inside have now a greater chance of getting it. It's just, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it's true. Even if they're inside, even if they're doing everything that they should be doing, if you're out there being reckless, not maintaining your distance, not covering your face, you are acquiring it and or spreading it, thus putting the people who are still trying to shelter in place in greater risk. Because who knows, something can come in on the mail, something can come in with food delivery, something can come in however. So just be smart about it. My favorite disaster movie, I think it's Armageddon. Probably not. Actually, there's a movie. I remember being real freaked out about it. It was like something on the Poseidon. Maybe I don't know. I don't think Titanic is a disaster movie. I don't like Titanic that much though. I've only seen Titanic once. I like it. I think it's a good movie. I've only seen it once. The problem with Titanic is everybody loved Titanic, right? I guess. Or everybody's just... And the thing about Titanic and Avatar, which are both James Cameron films, which were both the biggest movies ever made. The dude had done it like 3 times. He did it with Terminator 2, Titanic, and then Avatar. This guy makes movies that are like inoffensive somehow. Somehow nobody hates them. And I think that that's how he launches himself to that level. He creates a movie that nobody can possibly hate. And that's the trick, people. So just try to remember to be perfect and don't screw anything up in your life. Towering Inferno, an earthquake. Tatiana kicks it old school, 1974. Yes, we were talking about Towering Inferno with Steve McQueen earlier. And I also brought up Bullet with Steve McQueen. Not Steve McQueen, director of an Oscar winner for 12 Years a Slave, but Steve McQueen, the other guy, the race car driver. Yeah, we cannot talk about this without bringing up Twister. I was asked what my favorite. Yeah, Towering Inferno is it might be like the best because it's kind of the OG disaster movie. But I was just talking about Twister the other day, actually, and how that kind of movie was. That was an event when that came out. Everybody was like a flying cow. We all saw that trailer with the cow flying around, and we were like, we need to see what goes on with this cow flying around. And then it turns out you go see the movie, and then there's the cow flying, and then that was it. It was special effects. They had so many special defects in that movie that we could not. Listen, there was not much going on in the 90s with special effects. Maybe the late 90s. That's a lie. Jurassic Park came out, and The Matrix came out. And Terminator 2. My favorite disaster movie. You know what? I'm going to Google disaster movies, and out of them, I'm going to find the one that I've seen that I like the most. Because I got to tell you, it's a perfect segue from Armageddon to go to the guy who does all of the disaster movies, like 2012, and The Day After Tomorrow, and The Day After Tomorrow, and then The Last Day of the Earthquake. That guy does like every disaster movie. Every movie he does. Independence Day, the White House exploding. He just explodes everything. Listen, do not follow me. I'm serious. You have entered the room and thusly have declared that all things must stop and you must be addressed. And we need to talk to you directly about what are we talking about today. Listen, we're mid-conversation. We are en medias res right now. But we're talking about disaster movies. The Poseidon Adventure. That was cool. I like that movie because the ship turns upside down. And everybody's trapped inside of a ship that's turned upside down. So all the tables are on the ceiling. It's weird. I thought it was cool. and then they're trapped in it, and then they made a sequel about that. So I guess people were just still stuck inside the boat that's turned upside down and it's capsized. Daylight. I never saw that one. Airplane is probably my favorite disaster movie. Do not follow me. I'm serious. I'm just playing with you. Roland Emmerich is the guy I'm talking about. Independence Day. Independence Day. Roland Emmerich did that movie, and he did every bad movie. He did Godzilla. Listen, Independence Day, I think, was his Armageddon. It was the last okay movie that people were like, I'm buying into this Roland Emmerich situation, and I'm never selling. I'm gonna buy into Roland Emmerich, and we're just gonna follow this through to every crappy movie that he ever makes. I walked out of a Roland Emmerich movie. I walked right out of The Patriot, got my money back, got up, walked out, said, this movie's terrible. It was about 7 minutes into it. And they were like, how can you tell? And I'm like, I could tell. I could tell that this movie's going to be bad. Because it was trying to evoke emotion using kids running through a field like chasing butterflies. And I was like, you guys, you're trying to tell me that I should care about this right now. And I don't care about this right now. And if you're going to set me up this way and show me that like I should care about kids running through a field chasing butterflies, and then there's going to be impending doom and disaster, you have done bad at filmmaking. And I'm going to leave. Here's a funny win-win situation about that. My friend Penny, she had Christmas, for Christmas she'd gotten movie passes. And she took me and my cousin at the time, and we went and saw this. She's like, I got free movie passes. You guys want to see a movie? We're like, not really. And she's like, okay, let's go see The Patriot. And we were like, okay. And then we went and saw it. And however, we all just decided 7 minutes into it that this movie's going to be bad. And then we left, and she got money. They gave her actual cash back. So she got money for tickets. She scored. She made like $30 on that whole deal. Because we left, and she had been gifted movie tickets and then got cash in return. So we all got to leave, so we lucked out. And my friend Penny got $30 out of the deal. Pretty cool. Independence Day was a phenomenon, Will. I agree with you. I actually enjoyed Independence Day. I felt like the air was electric when we went to see Independence Day as a kid. We were like, I got to see this building explode. I have to see that the PNC Bank Arts building in LA get destroyed. But we saw that all in the trailer, and then we just saw it all again in the movie, and we're like, I got to say, though, maybe we talk about this tomorrow. Best like catchphrase moments in movies. And I'd say probably the best ever. Not the best ever. It's not the best ever, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. Will Smith, when he punches the alien in the face and says, "Welcome to Earth." That's like my favorite. That's my favorite. Because it's like, yeah, American Air Force pilot, America. We punch aliens in the face. Because that was a cool fight. I'm going to watch that scene right now. I want to watch that air chase. Because he's a good pilot, I'll tell you. Do not follow me. I'm serious. What is your favorite disaster movie? We would like to hear from you. Patriot. Will brings up this. Will brings up, I remember the money shot of The Patriot was a trailer shot where it looks like they were going to be impaled by a flagpole used as a spear jousting stick. Yeah, that was a terrible. Yeah, I'll be back. That's probably the best catchphrase ever. That one, and there's so many good catchphrases, but I'll be back is definitely the best one. And then we're going to talk about that one. Excuse me. Don't excuse me. We're going to talk about I'll be back tomorrow for sure. Oh, we've got plenty of this show left, by the way. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Aristotle Full Throttle. You can go to AristotleFullThrottle.com, subscribe there. Like, comment, and if you comment, guys, get this. I'm looking around because this is damn near illegal. If you comment on my videos, go back through my videos, watch my old videos I've made for years now. you could sit there and go, hey, that could be your comment. Hey, that qualifies you to win. Once I reach 10,000 subscribers, that qualifies you to win a PS5. No longer are you going to win a PS4 because we still have not hit the number yet. We're going to win a PS5. You want to win a PS5. Postscript. A straight up PlayStation 5. You will win that. Avatar's kind of a disaster movie. It's got a big disaster in it. But it's an alien disaster movie. Yeah, I'd say out of disaster movies, Airplane. But that's a spoof of a disaster movie. I don't know if Alive, is that a disaster movie? Remember that one? About the guys, the soccer team, and then they had to eat each other's butts? It was crazy. That was a crazy movie. Oof. Yeah, they had to do what they had to do. You know what I'm saying? They had to go ahead and they had to survive. They had to stay alive. They had to do what they had to fulfill the movie's title, knowing. I think I saw that movie with Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage does all these movies where he can like see the future or something, and there's aliens in that. Cloverfield's pretty good. This might be an entirely different. Edge of Tomorrow's a good one. That is a good one. Yeah, you don't know the power of the dark side. So many good catchphrases. Star Wars catchphrase, though, I think might be... I got a bad feeling about this. That's kind of like the universal catchphrase. Interesting. Just got a notification. I gotta turn off all my notifications during the show. I'll get too distracted. Air Force One. That's not a disaster movie. Get out of here. Get out of here with your Air Force One. I don't agree with you. That's a disaster movie. It's got Gary Oldman's in it. Gary Oldman, best accent guy. I think in Air Force One he's got a Russian accent in that one. The friggin' Harrison Ford's like, "Oh, get off my plane." That might be the last fun Harrison Ford movie besides, I don't know. I didn't like Star Wars Episode 9. Spoiler alert, Han Solo's in it. Yeah, war versus... We might have to do war movies next, Will. Good point that you bring that up. Tatiana, yeah. Definitely think that Towering Inferno is winning at this. At being probably the best disaster movie. Is Die Hard a disaster movie? Let's make it a disaster movie, because I would like that movie to be the best one. Yeah, tomorrow it's going to be catchphrases, guys, for sure. Remind me in case I forget. Airport 77. That's a good one. The Towering Inferno. Twister. Deep Impact. Guys, in the 90s, so this is what happened. You had a movie called... both in 1998 came Armageddon and Deep Impact. Both movies about an asteroid coming to destroy the Earth. One movie, directed by Mimi Leader, I believe. Let me check. It says, make sure. Mimi Leader, yeah. She, I think, directed a superior movie. However, the far more forgettable one, because it was about people and not about rocket ships. That's the movie where she introduced the idea that Morgan Freeman can be president. I thought that was interesting. 10 years later, Obama became president. I liked that. I thought that was interesting. She was like, hey world, hey planet Earth. We could switch up this president job. We could here's a picture of that. But that was the movie where we learned that Morgan Freeman could be president, and also 2 years after that, we learned that Morgan Freeman could be God. In Bruce Almighty. I like that movie. That's kind of Evan Almighty's a disaster movie, I guess, because it's about the impending flood. But why would God come? I didn't see that one, but that was a great breakthrough role for Steve Carell. I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard when he was possessed by Bruce Almighty doing the news. That was so funny. Yeah, Heath Ledger played one of Mel's kids in The Patriot. The Day After Tomorrow. The Patriot was Roland Emmerich. I don't like Roland Emmerich at all. He did The Day After Tomorrow, 2012. I don't know, Tidal Wave, Godzilla, Independence Day. Independence Day I liked. He did just a lot of bad movies that people still keep paying him to watch. But you know, this is the problem with certain types of movies. Maybe it's not the problem. Maybe there's a service. They're fulfilling a service, guys. There are people that perhaps aren't like you, or they aren't like me. They aren't like us. And they go see movies and they're like, I was just, like I had something to do. I go see the movie because I want to see a story unfold before my eyes. I want to see characters achieve their realize their dreams, fulfill their motivation, to understand who they are, maybe understand a little bit more about myself after I watch a movie. And sometimes people are like, yeah, you have something to do. It's raining out. So I understand there are different levels of movie fandom. I accept it. However, I don't agree with it. I don't need to agree with it. Maybe I'll do the rest of the show in Morgan Freeman voice. I tell you, when I was young, I was born a 75-year-old wise man. I had to work on my Morgan Freeman impression. Morgan Freeman, I wonder if he did an impression of himself, or Robert De Niro. If Robert De Niro did an impression of Robert De Niro, I'm sure the world would collapse in on itself, and that would be a disaster movie in and of itself. Die Hard is the best Christmas movie ever. Thank you, Jimmy James, for backing me up on that. I've been maintaining this since I was a child. Oh, yeah, watch Towering Inferno again, Tatiana. It's gonna be good. It's still gonna be good. I think it's still gonna be good. It's got drama. There's a funny story about that movie, I think. I believe there are 2 major movie stars in that, and they had to negotiate their screen credits, their on-screen credits. So you've got Steve McQueen and Paul Newman are both in that movie. So Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, and you're Steve McQueen. That's what they said at the same time. Just imagine them staring at each other. And then they both went, I'm Steve McQueen. I'm Paul Newman. And they could not get off of this fact of who they were because they've got egos and they're stars. So they had to negotiate. And this had to go through several rounds of negotiation of whose credit was either. There's 2 things that are really important to actors when they're negotiating their contracts. It's when their credit shows up as it's starring in. So people were going to see this movie and they were like, who am I going to see it for? Paul Newman or Steve McQueen? I don't know. But these 2 actors had to negotiate, and it's a very famous negotiation to who got their name on the left side of the screen and whose name was higher. So on the screen. So they agreed, I think, to get their names both appear at the same time, but one was higher than the other, but one was on the left side of the screen because we tend to look at the left side of the screen first because we read left to right in the Western cultures. So his name was lower on the left side of the screen, and the other guy's name was higher, but on the right side of the screen and at the same time. So that it's just weird how people get their billing in movies. They want that top billing, you know what I'm saying? It's weird. Just get your name on that screen. Yeah, here it is. Google it. Steve McQueen, Paul Newman. Steve McQueen's name is slightly lower, and Paul Newman's is slightly higher. I could probably show you. Oh, I can't move. I don't want to move this monitor. It's a pretty interesting fact. I always found that fascinating, but I also find stupid things fascinating. T.I. won several Oscars. Oh, Towering Inferno won several Oscars. I thought you meant T.I. won several Oscars. I'm like, what's T.I. got to do with Oscar winning? But, T.I.'s cool. The Oil Rig movie with Mark Wahlberg. Yeah. That's the one. That's the one I want to see. I worry about Mark Wahlberg. Every now and then I think about him. I'm like, what's he up to? What's Mark Wahlberg doing? No. I wonder what he's doing. Deepwater Horizon? What's up, goat? Yeah, Mark Wahlberg. I want to see San Andreas. That looks good. I forget which one that is. Is that the one where he got one leg? Geostorm. I know someone out there understands what I'm talking about right now. Some people are like, what did he just say? Talk about San Andreas and whether or not The Rock has one leg in it. I forget which one it is. He got one leg in a movie. He runs around with one leg because he's The Rock, right? You're The Rock. You're a giant, massive individual who could clearly take on any human being and dismantle them promptly. You are The Rock. You are a giant. Any movie you're in, I'm going to think that you're going to just win. You're going to destroy everybody around you because you're 10 feet tall and 14,000 pounds of solid muscle. So nobody will ever mess with you, The Rock. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to give you just one leg. Maybe make it seem fair. That's what they did in that movie. They're like, you're The Rock. You're indestructible. But you got one leg. Now what, Rock? Now what? It's the only way you can make The Rock seem invincible. He was not Vince, I imagine. The oil rig movie with Mark, Deepwater Horizon. That's the one we're talking about there. Yeah, Rock San Andreas Storm. I think that's what it's called. Here's a dumb one. The Core. Remember that one? They're like, we got to drill to the center of the Earth because we tried going into space with Armageddon. I don't know if you guys saw Armageddon, but The Core, let me see who that's directed by. John Emile. Well, no thank you. DJ Qualls is in that. He's like 47,000 years old, but he looks like he's 12. Hilary Swank's like, listen, I already won an Oscar, and I'm about to win an Oscar in another 2 years, because this is 2003, and then she won again for $1 Million Baby. But she's like, Oscars, you know, I could just win Oscars all day. I'm Hilary Swank. I got that swank. And so she walks around and she's like, I'm going to win Oscars, so let me make a crappy movie just to try to that'll be like putting one leg on my career, which is like The Rock. Hilary Swank, she was trying to make her life seem, I don't know. I think sometimes these actors, there's no way of knowing whether or not the movie's going to be bad or good. And they probably get talked up in all these meetings like, listen, it's going to be like Armageddon, which wasn't good. And this is going to be worse, and it's going to be terrible. It's going to be a budget of $115 million, and it's going to make $74 million at the box office. Just so you know, we're not going to make our money back on this one, Hilary Swank. But we need you, Oscar winner Hilary Swank from Boys Don't Cry. We need you to drill to the center of the Earth, which we cannot do, people. We can only go a couple miles into the crust, and even then, we're like, all of our drills break down. There's too much temperature and pressure. Everything we try to do to get to the core or the mantle, we can't do. Just the crust. We just eat the crust. If you're a fan of crust, you'll be a fan of that. If you like your pizza crust, they should have called it the crust. And it should have just been them eating pizzas backwards. I would have watched that movie other than The Core. The Core was terrible. Geophysicist Dr. Josh Keyes, Aaron Eckhart, who also played Two-Face, discovers that an unknown force has caused the Earth's inner core to stop rotating. What? Thank you for this discovery, Aaron Eckhart. With the planet's magnetic field rapidly deteriorating. Oh no! We need the magnets. The magnetic fields. Rapidly deteriorating, our atmosphere literally starts to come apart at the seams. Wait. Time out. I have a problem with this breakdown of the core. The core. Not only is your movie terrible, but your description is inapt. Because, listen, it's inapt and it's inept because our atmosphere literally starts to come apart at the seams. Wait a minute. Atmosphere don't got no seams. What do you got to say about that? Atmosphere don't got no seams. They can't literally come apart. It's seamless. To resolve the crisis, Keyes goes along with a team of the world's most gifted scientists travel into the Earth's core. Can't do it, guys. We watched Journey to the Center of the Earth 2 with The Rock, and he had 2 legs in that one. Their mission did detonate a device that will reactivate the core. So, guys, I'm a scientist, right? And the Earth's core, we need to blow it up. You know what I'm saying? It's science. I'm a scientist. How do we explode it? That's like pretty much like the president's solution to things. The president would probably be like, I saw the core. They blew things up. What if we blow up the virus? Yeah, it could be. People are saying we could blow up the virus. What if we were to do, take like bombs and put them under the skin? What if we were to drill to the center of people and exploded them? I don't know. Maybe you should look into that, science. I know better. String theory. Geophysicist. I'm a geophysicist. I'm the only one in my field. And I think we should blow up the center of the Earth. I think that's a great idea. You're the only one in your field, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think we should blow up the Earth from the inside. You sure about this? Should we get another opinion? Yeah, just ask the president. We should blow it up. Yeah, I imagine how much dynamite you would need for that. Dynamite. I think we should get Jimmy Walker to bring some dynamite to the center of the Earth. Jimmy Walker shows up. It would be like a nice cameo for the core. That's America's sweetheart, Jimmy Walker, from Good Times. He's like, did somebody say dynamite? That would be terrible, but I would love it still. I would be the first person to be like, that's Jimmy Walker. It's just like when they had Rerun show up and do the Rerun dance all the time. I was always like, I love Rerun. He got the rainbow suspenders and he's going to just dance. And that's all we need him to do for the rest of his life. Rest in peace, he died. Yeah, Rerun's dead. Jimmy Walker's still around, though. Pretty sure. Is Jimmy Walker still alive? Because I know that the dad is still alive. Oh, Jimmy Walker's 72 years old. How is that even possible? Jimmy Walker is a 72-year-old teenager. The dad, John Amos, he's still around. He's the dad from Coming to America also. Yeah, I actually worked with his wife, actually, years ago. Did I fall asleep? Wait, guys, where am I? Did I just wake up? Humanoids, Inhumanoids. What's up, Bongani? Welcome. We're talking about disaster movies today on Aristotle Full Throttle and John Amos and his various spouses. And Jimmy Walker bringing dynamite to the center of the earth and exploding it with Good Times. I think that would be a good one. Let me call Jimmy Walker. Jimmy Walker, we've got the perfect role for you. Ever since Rerun has been dead, we have severely lacked yeah, I'm not going to go down this road, but it's funny because America has exploited Black Americans for decades in entertainment, and I have found that deeply offensive. So, Jimmy Walker, great American actor, needed to be JJ Dynamite. What was his name in that show? I forget. But it's funny because when I'm always interested in that because you see like certain actors portray a certain type of character over and over again, and then you see them in real life, and you're like, oh, you're actually like a highly skilled, highly intelligent, like thoughtful human being, very far from your character who kind of walks in and says dynamite, and then walks out and gets everybody to laugh, which is fine. I mean, I guess the same could be said for like Joey Lawrence. However, the same could be said for maybe Joey Lawrence. I don't know. Yeah, I've worked with Joey Lawrence. He's a nice guy. Though, when I worked with him, even on the day I worked with him, he said, whoa, at least 3 times. Like, whoa. His whole catchphrase. We're going to talk about catchphrases tomorrow. So, um, we're going to talk about catchphrases. And maybe we'll bring up dynamite. That's a pretty good one. It's not even spelled dynamite. It's dynamite. But, you know, it was the 70s and it's America. So it's still America. A friend of mine, James Carter Walker, 6'1". I'm going to actually make the biography of Jimmy Walker because I think we need it. I think we need this biography of Jimmy Walker. I was watching the guy who played, he's in a million movies. We've got 3 minutes left, but I'm going to tell you about this guy. Big Trouble in Little China. He is the Asian American guy who plays the bad guy. Basically the one that all of the Mortal Kombat villains are based on and stuff. What's that actor's name? Help me out here, Will. Catch up. Yeah. James Hong. James Hong has been in like every role for an Asian person for like 60 years, maybe 70 years. He's 91. He's from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but he has played every old Asian guy ever. And I think it's hilarious because people go, we need an old Asian guy. Let's call the same guy, as if there were only one Asian person available or that our bandwidth could handle. That's why I always make fun of Short Circuit, because Short Circuit had Fisher Stevens play an Indian roboticist when there are literally 1 billion Indian people. That you could say, hey, 1 billion Indian people, any one of you is by definition more qualified to play an Indian roboticist than Fisher Stevens. Which I think is hilarious about Hollywood and our ability to break form. Chow Yun Fat. Oh man, Chow Yun Fat was dope. Good point. Do not follow me. I'm serious. Chow Yun Fat was cool. That guy's like, he's kind of like a big guy, but could still do a backflip. I remember that was pretty impressive. But I'll leave you with this, guys. It's a very funny joke that I watched at the Dave Chappelle award for the Mark Twain Prize. We've got about a minute left. And someone said to him, I think I mentioned this the other day on the program, on the Aristotle program, this Full Throttle program. They said, HBO said, why would we want you, Dave Chappelle, when we already have Chris Rock? And they were like, this was way back in the 90s when you could only have one black personality on TV, and now you can have 3. So guys, thank you for joining me on Instagram. We're going to jump over to YouTube. We're still live on YouTube. We'll still be live for the next few minutes on YouTube. Aristotle, fullthrottle.com. Bulletproof Monk, good one. Yeah, we should talk about Gun Fu one of these days. Tomorrow's going to be catchphrases. Maybe the next day will be Gun Fu and Kung Fu movies, because those I grew up on. I grew up on Kung Fu movies every Saturday afternoon. I'd watch them all morning, and then me and my brother would beat each other up all afternoon. I'm Aristotle, Full Throttle, you bro in the know what to fro. And I'll see you tomorrow. Guys, they're gone. Now we can let our hair down. Share story. I'll tell you what. 800,000. Rerun was just rerun. Yeah, Rerun, I think, was just always Rerun, right? Yeah, he never had a name other than Rerun. I would come home after school and watch What's Happening every day. Raj, Rerun, and the gang. Dwayne, Rerun. That was my show every day. D, Shirley, all of them. That was a great show. That was a great show. I enjoyed that show. I identified with Raj because he was like the nerdy one of all of them. And he was like, Doobie Brothers were actually guest stars on What's Happening. And the Doobie Brothers were like, hey guys, it's not cool to record our concert on a tape and then listen to it later. Meanwhile, today, everybody has their cell phone out for the whole show. But guys, yeah, I want to see if you guys saw that episode of What's Happening. Man, oh man, that's a show that I wish they did. What's Happening Now. Remember What's Happening Now? It was like kind of a few years later, and they had they had other people join the cast, and I always thought that was interesting how they would have people that on a show that you loved, and then they have to kind of expand it, and it kind of would jump the shark, and then they'd add all these other people, and you're like, who are these other people? I don't care about these other people. Just give me Raj, Rerun, and Dwayne and the gang and his wisecracking little sister. D. I love that show. What are they up to now besides some of them being dead? I feel bad for Rerun. He used to show up on Scrubs. Do you guys ever watch Scrubs? That was a fun show. The Scrubs has John C. Reilly, I think his name is. I forget his name, but not John C. Reilly. John, Peter, Michael, David Hall. He's also in The Rock. The guy I'm talking about is in The Rock with Sean Connery and the gang. Yep. That's true. See, Will, you know this cut. The school tape deck in the trench coat. Yes. That is a good episode. Because it taught you a lesson. We were learning lessons watching What's Happening. And I remember they would, at the end of the credits, they'd be playing basketball, walking down the street. And then I'd go bounce the ball down the street. It reminded me of my neighborhood. It reminded me of my childhood. I'd watch that and The Incredible Hulk and Wonder Woman. And He-Man. And She-Ra. Because it was basically He-Man for girls. But it was He-Man, so I watched it. Everybody watched She-Ra. Same thing. It was the same story. But just with a lady. I always liked those limited animation shows because it was funny. Because they would just show the same thing. You know, like the 12 hours of He-Man laughing. Like it would just... Every episode would have the same 30 seconds that they could buy by just reinserting by the power of Grayskull, I have the power. Cringer turns into Battle Cat. It would be like the same thing. So, not only did you have the intro of the show, where they were like, which by the way, I think the show is pretty freaking phenomenal because I was rewatching episodes of it on Netflix because I think the whole series is available on Netflix of He-Man, and I was watching it and he's like, there's certain like subtle things in there that I think it's you might want to wonder what the intention was behind, but he says I was granted fabulous powers. My powers are fabulous. It's really funny. You got to watch it. Rewatch that show. All these men walking around with no shirts on, and you wonder what are these guys up to thinking? But hey, if it's your show, you can do whatever you want. You could draw everybody however you want. But Skeletor, pretty cool character because his face is a skeleton and his name is Skeletor. I wonder when he's born, if that's the family surname. He's born and you just look at this little baby with a skeleton face. Oh, he's just like your Skeletor dad, Skeletor Jr. I guess you got no choice but to name your kid Skeletor if their head is a skull and nothing else. What happened to all your flesh? You know, I come from a long line of Skeletors. Well, guys, I'm out of coffee and I'm out of steam. But bring your coffee tomorrow, because guess what? We're going to talk about catchphrases and your favorite Frederick J. Skeletor catchphrase. Your favorite catchphrases. So tomorrow, be ready. Bring it. Bring your catchphrase tomorrow. Bring your favorite. I'll bring mine, and it might be surprising. It also may not be, because I'll be back. It's Terminator. Thank you guys for watching. I'm Aristotle, Full Throttle. You bro in the know with the fro. I'm Frederick J. Skeletor. Your bro in the fro with no flesh on my skull. And I'll see you tomorrow.